Good morning, folks. Welcome once again to our channel. It is the 8th of February, 2017, and a very, very, very exciting Saturday morning. What you're going to learn today, you will not learn from any other channel. We are excited to have you. You are the smartest, the most active, and I'm going to tell you the coolest audience anybody has ever had. And I am very happy to have you here. You are some very, very nice people. The salt of the earth. The Syrian conflict. What are they hiding? Why is President Trump pushing this conflict? The most recent bout with this ongoing Syrian conflict was put forth to the world to hide something very, very serious that's going on. As you recall, a few days ago, a fake chemical gas attack on a town in Syria from an abandoned airfield was put across on fake news and on the television. The reporter who broke the story, we were reading a story about him testifying before Congress about how it was a fake story. Supposedly firing 50 Tomahawk missiles at the airbase and dropping some 80 bombs. Yet, it was actually, here's the airbase. It was actually 59 Tomahawk missiles. And what you're looking at is no damage. This is from Russian television. There's no damage to the airfield. None whatsoever. They didn't even damage the ammo bunkers. So why would, there's the airfield, undamaged. You see any Tomahawk missile holes? Yeah, right, there's no damage. So why would President Trump claim to fire 39 Tomahawk missiles? And only 17, apparently, well, we may have the numbers a little mixed up because there are a lot of different conflicting stories about this. Only 20 Tomahawk missiles were fired. So if 20 Tomahawk missiles were fired at the airbase, first of all, they didn't hit anything. And a Tomahawk missile could knock the champagne glass out of your hand and miss your face. So why is there no damage to this? Well, first of all, it's an abandoned airfield. You saw yesterday there weren't even any camels or donkeys there. First of all, where did the other 39 Tomahawk missiles go? Because apparently only 20 landed in this area. And why would President Trump lie about all of this and destroy his reputation only 12 weeks into the presidency, and then meet with President Xi Jinping of China at his southern White House? That's a mouthful. So he lies about this and then meets with the president of China. Was the president, what does it mean has some incredible stories because they're all referenced. 36 Tomahawk missiles valued at $54 million apiece. So we threw, $2 billion at an airfield, and the $2 billion yielded nothing. So why would President Trump have 80 bombs and 36 cruise missiles, 59 cruise missiles, 23 cruise missiles? We don't know how many reached the airbase. First of all, why would he throw $1.5 billion at an airbase and not even hit the airbase? And secondly, why would Russia come out and say, an hour ago the U.S. military attaché in Moscow was summoned to the defense ministry to get an official note which said the Russian side was suspending as of 00 hours on April 8th the observance of its obligations under the Memorandum of Understanding on Prevention of Incidents and Ensuring of Flight Safety in the course of the operation in the Syrian Arab Republic. I mean, why would some spokesman from Russia tell U.S. attaché? That means he's some lieutenant colonel who's working for the embassy in Moscow, whose career is coming to an end, so he goes to Moscow and gets a letter and returns it to the ambassador. That's all a military attaché is. It's a guy whose career is over. It's a career killing. When you go to work for an embassy, you might as well just prepare to retire. So, and here it is again. Oh my God, Russia cuts off last contact with U.S. Orders pilots to attack at will. Really? I don't think so. So what's really going on? Was Prime Minister Medvedev right when he stated Trump will be compromised in 10 weeks by the deep state, meaning the CIA will yank Trump's chains? Oh, are the mermaids attacking? Is that what's really going on? Let's see. America's Syrian strike on verge of military clash with Russia. He said it would take 10 weeks and Trump would be compromised. So what's really going on? Are the mermaids attacking like in Zimbabwe? Mermaid accused of murder in Zimbabwe? Is that what's happening? We're having mermaids attack us? There are three things that President Trump is now trying hard to hide from you and I. Three very important things that will affect our lives starting now. First, the U.S. economy is crashing no matter how hard he's trying. No matter what he does, no matter what he does, the U.S. economy is crashing. Everyone with any sense, well, if you've got an IQ above room temperature, you understand that Moscow and Beijing joined forces to bypass the U.S. dollar in global markets. There's a shift in the gold trade. The U.S. is not involved in this. They've tried to spread their wings and join the Chinese international banking system, and CHIPS said no. So CHIPS is quickly replacing the Bank of International Settlements. Follow the money. Last Monday this happened. Now we're going to have an opportunity. Yes, this dollar is still being used worldwide, but treasury bonds and U.S. dollars are being dumped by nations across the planet. In a few days from now, we will be able to have an interview with the owner of Noble Gold and discuss the consequences of what's really happening. This guy, Charles, he has his fingers on the pulse. He's a lot like Jim Willie, and he thinks like Jim Willie too, who is we communicate back and forth quite a lot. So to have Charles on is quite the, oh my God, this is going to be incredible to have him on our show. His company, like Jim Willie's company, they give out information so that we can be prepared for what's coming. They sell hard assets like gold and silver and platinum. They convert IRAs to gold and silver and platinum. Something hard, because we know that based on what we're seeing, the U.S. dollar is in big trouble, and this is the key story that was glazed over by 99% of us. They've been working on this since October of 1959. There's now a 200-acre joint Russian-Chinese international trade compound in St. Petersburg. I saw the initial construction of it 10 years ago. Now it's done, completed, fully staffed, and the rest of the world will work with the Chinese, the Russians, and the Belarusians in this international monetary trade. And if the Ukraine would get their head out of there, you-know-whats, they would be working with Russia too, and they would become a very, very wealthy country. If they would listen to us, and Charles, the owner of Noble Gold, and Jim Willie, the owner of the Golden Jackass website. If they would listen to us, their economies would blossom. There is also a huge conflict that the world, and apparently they eliminated the story. I apologize. But the head of United Nations UNESCO, Director General Irina Bokova, that's the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, stated, and she's a woman, Jerusalem is the capital of King David, where Solomon built the temple and placed the Ark of the Covenant. To deny, conceal, or erase any of the Jewish, Christian, and Muslim tradition, any of them, undermines the integrity of the site and runs counter to the reasons that justify its inscription into the UNESCO World Heritage List. Basically, what she's saying is all religions are the same. Obviously, this is an attempt to unify all religions. The next thing that's happening, and you're going to watch that, you're going to watch this huge, see that? Huge amounts of energy coming off the sun. Flat out, the sun is turning into a red giant. Unsettled, unsettled, unsettled. Always unsettled. The sun will not settle. See that unsettled magnetic flux. This has been painted out. This has been painted out. These have been painted out. Well, we see some problems there. We've got a problem. And see that? That is the sun is enlarging. This is just a flat out shot from Earth showing the sunspots spinning. Even though if you go into here, it's amazing if you go into here, you'll see that they've painted everything out. Everything's been painted out. See, just a little bitty sunspot, right? Well, if that's the only thing on the sun, why are we seeing these huge sun flares spouting from the sun? Exactly. Flat out, this is enlarging and turning into a red giant. This was caused by the last presidency when they threw a nuke at Omaha, Nebraska. I think it was either 9 or 11 November. I think it was 9 November 2009. The president threw a cruise missile with a variable VX-80 warhead at Omaha, Nebraska. It was blown up. It was in all the papers. We did TV story after TV story after TV story on it. Oh yeah, the sun is not acting in a normal way. And whatever that nuclear weapon did, it killed something above the planet that was built somewhere else that was stabilizing our sun. Within an hour, our sun started to do this. Further aggravating food production is the toxic chemicals being placed in the fertilizers and pesticides. Yes, the oil industry is removing their toxic chemicals by putting it in fertilizers. There you go. The aerial spraying of crops with chemtrails containing chemical, nuclear, and biological agents toxic to plant life. Let me say that again. What they're putting in the chemtrails they're spraying over your head are chemical, nuclear, and biological agents toxic to plant life. And some of that has gotten underground, and they can't grow their underground crops because they have a mold, and we know how to reverse that mold. But we're not going to talk about it on this program. They're going to have to come and ask. Next, the weather manipulation to destroy crops. We're flooding here in Washington State with almost 40 inches of rain in March. 90 inches last September. I have a rain gauge. And other areas are so dry you could crack a leaf in 5 minutes. It's incredible. And the final thing is the GMO crops are being released worldwide to sterilize soils. I will say that again. GMO crops are being released to sterilize soils. Now, the reason we have this, along with this story, is because you have asked for this. So many of you are hard of hearing, and we want this news story to be for everyone. This is already, these things are beginning to hit food crops. In some countries, it's hard to get food. It's getting hard, like Venezuela. In other countries, we're seeing huge price increases, like Cambodia and Indonesia. Yeah, countries you don't hear about in the news very much. And for you Intel geeks, this is going to be a little bit different. We know President Trump has won when the chemtrail stopped. For you Intel geeks, the CIA attack dogs also need to call off their attempts on the worldwide riots on the 15th and the attempt at the starting of the nuclear war on the 16th. You're not going to be able to start a nuclear war on the 16th. Remember the word G-O-D? He ain't going to let you. And your backup plan of killing President Trump and Putin on the 26th, they're not going to work either. And President Trump, replace 2 of your cooking staff at the White House now, or have the meals catered in. There's a very, very dark gentleman who comes in and out of the White House kitchen who knows who the bad people are. You might say he's black. He's very, very dark. He will know who the good and the bad people are. Promote him. He'll keep you safe. He knows that you are the only one that can eliminate slavery, because we still have slaves in this country. And if you're an illegal alien, you've committed a felony, the courts consider you a slave. In a final note, an old quote friend of mine, unquote, we'll show you him, Sean David Morton. You probably remember him from Coast to Coast. And his wife, Melissa, who died not too long ago of cancer. So exactly why she's in the story, I don't know. Sean told me she died. In a final note, Sean David Morton and his wife, Melissa, who assisted the FBI in trying to start World War III way back in 2007, and seizing all of my assets and working with these FBI agents, and forcing me to be homeless for 6 months after we stopped the first attempt at a nuclear war, were found guilty of tax evasions and sentenced to over 600 years apiece in prison. I think it was 660 years. Somebody wants to put them away and move them back into the deep underground state. I know that Melissa died. Well, at least I believe it. That's what he told me. The last time I spoke with him, Melissa was very, very sick with cancer. It was her 3rd bout. We had the cure. He wouldn't listen. Now, this could be payback from years ago because Sean's father helped assassinate JFK. And he was a coast-to-coast guest with Art Bell and then George Norrie until he told several of us in a private meeting that he thought George Norrie was a putz and a horrible interviewer. Well, when he started on Coast to Coast, he wasn't that good. But let me tell you, I've never seen anybody improve as fast as George Norrie, naval intelligence. And in my opinion, George is one of the greatest radio program hosts in the nation. I've never been on a show, but that guy could turn a turtle into the most exciting radio program out there. The guy is a genius. I like listening to him when I can. A lot of his people are death and destruction and Armageddon, but I think George is one of the best radio hosts the world has ever seen. Art Bell was an 8. I'll give George a 10. Anyway, he used to be on Coast to Coast all the time. He sold his books on Coast to Coast. The cat there he thinks is his brother. There's George Norrie, who is a fabulous radio host. Hate to see him get older because he's eventually going to have to retire. And by the way, the private message is Ethel still has the keys to Pegasus. The people in the secret space program know exactly what that means. If they don't, they're dumber than a rock. Anyway, savings tip of the day. We have started a new channel on Vimeo. And we met a guy named Scott Lemrial a year and a half ago. And he wrote 2 books, The Sayre's Agenda and The Emerald Doorway. He's an alien contactee that does not use drugs, never has used drugs, is opposed to marijuana like I am. He will not, he occasionally has a scotch or whiskey, or I don't know. He'll occasionally have a sip of alcohol. But all the time I've known him, I've never seen him drink. So he's the only alien contactee that does not use drugs. So we started this Interdimensional Galactic Alliance Speaks. Well, that's a mouthful. One thing Scott is he's very, very meticulous. So it's got to be exactly that. Interdimensional Galactic Alliance Speaks. He says stuff and it happens. That's it. And also, since YouTube's eliminated ad revenue by 98%, we're going to start doing ads like Brought to You By. But we're only going to do commercials if it benefits you financially. Or in some other way. Also, please pray that President Trump reveals the truth about Syria and tells the truth to us. And also, please pray that your whole family wakes up as to what is really going on. Again, the initial title, Syrian Conflict, What They Are Hiding, and there it is, what they're hiding. Thank you very much for coming. God bless to each and every one of you. You are the coolest audience in the world. I appreciate your phone calls. I appreciate your texts. I appreciate each and every one of your letters. It's just I don't have time to answer very many of them. Sorry about that. Again, where's the damage on the airfield? Thank you very much. God bless to each and every one of you. Thank you, and good night.